All right, we are going live now on YouTube. Good evening, everyone. This is Devashish Kumar Panda, co-founder team Lex Cognoscenti. I welcome you all on behalf of my team to this edition of Lex Cognoscenti's Rendezvous series. Before I introduce the eminent guest of this evening, I must tell you the purpose behind organizing this series. The basic vision behind this interview series is to facilitate and provide the legal fraternity with some invaluable anecdotes and escapades of several legal luminaries and doins. And keeping that purpose in mind, today we have invited Mr. Sukumar Pattjoshi, who is an eminent senior advocate practicing in the Supreme Court of India for more than 3 decades there. And before his designation as a senior counsel, he had over 26 years of practice as a lawyer in the Supreme Court of India, various high courts and tribunals. He has also served as a vice president of the Supreme Court Bar Association. He has also set up his own law firm named Law Point Legal Solutions and has dealt with multifarious subjects pertaining to laws. He was in the prestigious Group A panel of the central government for the Supreme Court of India in the previous years, besides being a senior panel counsel for the prestigious PSUs and sizable private corporates. He has represented clients in negotiations, mediation, and a number of important arbitrations, and has also taken up their cases before Delhi High Court Mediation Center and various other forums. He has also appeared as a senior counsel for parties in the 2G spectrum allocation scam case and call block allocation case. He has a steady success in the resolution of complex constitutional issues. He also takes keen interest in doing social services and has done an initiated project in collaboration with Delhi police for helping victims of crime, and has also led a project named Umid for helping the victims of child sexual abuse. And today we are really fortunate to be joined by Sukumar Pattjoshi, sir, and I welcome you, sir, from on behalf of my team to this today's talk show, and we are really grateful that you have consented for the same, and we are really looking forward to have a great session with you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, sir. So with your due permission, sir, I would like to begin with the questions that I have with me.
Just before that, I must appreciate the efforts you have made. This is not a small effort. In fact, of course, today you all are techno-savvy and it's easy for you to organize. But coordinating and then thinking that people will give time, etc. And also this is for the purpose of your generation's database. You are creating a database for them. I'm a social work graduate, so in my parlance we call it capacity building, right, for the future, so to be utilized. And I'm really amazed that the way you have been working. You pestered me several times when I said that there is no use and things like that, because I'm not what they name a big lawyer or something whom you really, it's not, I told you that time also. So, but anyway, this is your contribution to your fraternity. The children who would like to be lawyers in future or would be part of the system, I think this is going to work as a good database and will show them some light in this. Thank you.
Indeed, sir. And that is your humility to say that you are not a great lawyer. But then I would beg to differ from that, and I will say that you are an inspiration for countless law students from Orissa and all across India, sir, including me and our co-founder. So with that, sir, if you permit, then we will start with the interview.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, sir. So, sir, starting with the first question that we would like to know from you is about your childhood, about your family background, about your schooling and initial stage. So if you can tell our viewers on something on that.
Yeah, that's a very pertinent question. And particularly for somebody who has come from Kalahandi in Orissa, it's much more, in fact, and like you say, your purpose, that people will benefit. I also want that if I can come and do it here, then it should also be a light and be a confidence booster that if he can go and practice like this, we all can do it, and or do something in life, right? So that's why a place or the kind of education you had has nothing to do with it. It is your courage. So I must share this, the childhood. Of course, I particularly, in fact, the region from where I come is one of the most backward in the country, right? Having said that, but I come from a very, a family, the problem is of plenty, right? The problem is not of paucity. And I was born in Kalahandi, Bhavani Patna is the headquarters, right? And being the youngest of 8 siblings and about 50 cousins I grew with, right? And in a big household, was definitely a different experience altogether. So, and also, as you know, in a large family, like nobody takes care of you particularly for something or the other. But nonetheless, I was a very pampered child and I started like that. And the focus, if I correctly remember, childhood, my parents and my elder brothers and sisters would be towards sensitizing children, right, to the needs of people, towards the animals you have, towards people who work with you, towards your friends. So, and most of the training was, practical trainings, right? How to behave with somebody who has come to beg, right, alms. So those things were in abundance. But the education, particularly in a city or urban area, or if you have a small family, the first thing is which school one has to join. That was not the focus at all, right? That's not the focus. And my little different childhood than most of you, actually. I was a late starter in formal education, didn't go to any primary schools, started my studies straight away at class 6 at the age of 10 in a government school. But it was a very different kind of a experience there, because if you are born of a illustrious parents, having multifarious roles in that area, you grow with something different, and they don't have focus for you. In fact, they have focus for people around them, and there are many people. My father was a philanthropist, a lawyer also, a bureaucrat also for some time, a freedom fighter also. And people would look forward to for solutions, for help, for many things. He would mean a lot to many people there. So his day would start very early in the morning. He would himself, in fact, despite having an army of helping people, he would himself plant, water the plants, look at the, our animals, cows and buffaloes or dogs, etc. a bit. And then he'll get into interacting with his, people who are waiting to meet him, or people, or clients, in fact, those things. Then he would rush to the court. While after coming back, immediately he would take care of the dogs, play with us, and things like that. In the evening, he would not miss his breeze ever, right? So 8 o'clock, his breeze table would start and will go on for quite late. And would love to host people, and anybody who comes to the town would be my guest. So that kind of a life he had. My mother, being the daughter of the then Chief Minister of the Kalahandi Kingdom, right, had a different role, though not very formally educated and things like that, but would, in fact, take care of people. And since morning, 4 o'clock onwards, the kitchen would be on. Of course, there will be people working, but would know that how many people are to come that day. And, nobody will go without food and things like that. Those are the days also, there won't be any restaurant kind of a thing in the town, So anybody who visits the town will eat in somebody's house. So invariably, it will be my house, right? So my interest, in fact, with that also grew, that we are supposed to help people, right? And my interest was also to love nature, go with the animals to the grazing field and things like that. So I remember as a young child of 2 or 3, I had 11 dogs. I was fond of dogs. So I would keep various breeds and all. I had about 400 birds. So I would like to photograph them and things like that, be with them. So that was my life early. So I didn't fall into the going to school kind of a trap. For many people thought that I may not get any formal education at all, in fact. And then my home studies started at the age of about 7 or 8. I appeared in the 5th class for the first time. As a formal education system, I didn't know much about examinations. ODM, all ODM medium, of course, as you know, right? And the first flashback of my parents, as I told you, is like that. Then when I joined my school, it was Brajamohan High School, in fact, in Odisha, there are many good schools, but this is none, though in an interior place, but has produced people who are settled all over the globe today. I'm proud to say that. And it's a very old school, in fact, set up in some 1936, as a old and very with a tradition, And at one point of time, Dr. Mayadhar Mansingh was the headmaster there, right? And so when I joined, the teachers were excellent teachers. I remember the first headmaster was one Indu Hussain Misra. I went for admission, so he met me, invited me to a lunch at his house. It was within the campus only. And he gave me a copy of Gita and said that you read and tell me. He was also very practical, and he was a erudite in English and all of the literature, and would always take interest in students. I had 2 or more 3 teachers. I must share this because, they are the backbone of anybody who has come out of Kalandiyas and done something. They need to be mentioned, right? I remember one Kali Prasad Patnaik, who is still my mentor. He is here at Kicking, and he's still my mentor and takes every pride in every achievement I do. He'll the first one to call me, right? Now also. One Sunil Mahanti is sadly no more there. So they all, they were encouraging, and nobody, in fact, like my family, nobody was pushing me to do topper or something. No, nobody. In fact, they would be very practical with me because they also knew that I didn't have a big attention span. So I'll not attend the entire periods. I don't remember throughout my school from 6th to 11th ever attending the entire day in the school, right? I would be bunking classes and things like that because I would love to go for, some mango groups or some guava orchard or something, and play around. At times go to the jungles. I give you a small anecdote. In fact, the training, how we were given. My father would like me to be a very practically trained, educated person and not bookish. So if he sends me to one of my agricultural villages or to any brothers, right? The immediate question would be, what was the dimension of the door of the godown, right? So you will not expect that to be asked, but it is a very pertinent question. As you know, the way we keep our paddy and all, that has to enter. So somebody you engage an engineer, he makes, he would not understand that. He would ask about the road conditions. He would ask about the people there, whether the teachers are attending the school. So everything in one go, he'll ask. If I have gone for one day also to the village, after I come, I have to take care of all these things and come to him. And also he wanted us to be adventurous, right? In fact, we could not come up to his expectation in that at all. He wanted us to be like trained riders, trained shooters and all. He was a champion of all those. And I remember one incident. I was very young, maybe 8 or 9. And he asked me to get down of the jeep in the middle of a jungle. And I got down and he speeded away. It was about 14, 15 kilometers away from home. I was cursing him, angry and all this. Why did he do? Is he really my father? And this, right? And then I walked home. But later, now I realize that what sort of a training it was, that the adversity, if I'm left to, I'll be able to face it myself, right? So that kind of a background. And then, this journey with my father came to an end very shortly. When I was about 13 or 14, he passed away. So I didn't have much of that, but my mother was a strong iron lady. So she brought us up, all of us. In fact, none of my brother had got into any career by that time. So we all were, she took good care of us. And then after the schooling, schooling also, all play and everything, I was fairly doing well, right? In the first 1 or 2, I'll be coming definitely, but it was not my forte to be an excellent student. I wanted to be an all-rounder and wanted to be alive to the life in the town or the villages. And my main aim was to mix up with people, and I mostly invested in manpower. So that's my human relations and things like that. And in school, one thing I realized that time, which was very striking and is with me, when I went in class 6, there are 2 hostels. One was a Adivasi Chhatravas, that is for the tribal students. So that was the kind of social disparities it was in the school itself, right? So I shared this with my teachers and I said that, what is this? Why? They're studying with me only, they're my classmates. Why do they have he said, no, we are not getting cooks to serve food to them, right? So that's why we have to have separate hostels. I said, no. In fact, during my student days, that was abolished. So that they say that, no, everybody will stay. They'll be combinedly staying there. There are many incidents of school. I did not, because time is limited, and we'll go to the profession part also. Then I joined Government College, Bhawanipatna. So all through all educations in Bhawanipatna only, I did intermediate science. Then, as my parents never, in fact, gave me any direction which course to follow or what to do. It was all up to me and with friends. The school, the greatest gift the school gave me was a set of friends who are with me throughout. In fact, in life and death, they are with me. And with them, I grew with them, played with them, enjoyed with them. So most of us, because we don't have to go anywhere else, other than those who are who belong to transferable jobs and things like those, parents were there. They left, but otherwise most of us, we studied in Government College, Bhawanipatna. After intermediate science, in fact, though we got into various other vocational things, but I didn't want to leave the luxury of staying home. So I confined there, and then I changed over to humanities and studied economics. After I graduated, came the turning point actually, and that was a big thing. That what do I do after that? I wanted to settle locally only, do whatever possible, and at that time, in Sambalpur, I could have done an MA or LLB or whatever it is, and I would have stayed. But my mother was very watchful. She said, no, you'll have to leave, you'll have to gain some exposure, learn the art of living by yourselves. Always you're dependent on everybody. So she literally threw me out. She said that, no, you choose which place you want to go, but you are not staying in Odisha. You'll have to go anywhere. So all these places, I thought, because I knew many people from Kalahandi were in Delhi, students and all, So I thought that that's easier, and there is a direct train to Delhi. So next morning, only early morning, I was boarded with Chhattisgarh Express and reached Nizamuddin station. My mother knew that I may not be able to manage things, so she ensured there was a businessman traveling who was a co-traveler with me. Gave him a lot of responsibility. That businessman put me in the first class waiting hall in Nizamuddin because the train reached very late. It's supposed to reach at 6 o'clock. It reached around 12 o'clock at night. So he said, Babu, abhi aur mat jana kahin aage. Stay here. मैं उसको बोल देता हूँ जो waiting room वाला है, मैं उसको कुछ पैसे से दे दूँगा. And he made me comfortable there and left. Early morning, 6 o'clock, I went to university to my friends whom I knew, those were from Kalahandi and all. And then rest is history. There I discussed with them why I have come. I had come to Delhi to do economics. Then I met, the first friend I met was one Avas Chandra Panda. He's no more. In fact, he's married to somebody in Cuttack only. Eminent fame. Justice Paddy was there, her son-in-law. And he was my badminton partner in Odisha. I played badminton to a great level, right? So he was my badminton partner. He said that no point doing these courses. You think of MS Social Work, it gives you a good grounding to live a life, because I don't think you are going for any job or something. You'll go back only. But this will give you a good understanding of your life. And I went through the syllabus, etc., etc. Then I set for the entrance for that Delhi School of Social Work. Got into it. There was an interview because of my Kalahandi experience that was selling like hotcakes, right? And from Kalahandi, so the professors were so happy to, they thought that I'm straight from the jungle or something. They are so happy to admit me, right? Not because of my qualifications or I did well, but because I'm from Kalahandi, somebody wants to do social work from Kalahandi. So that was good, and great grounding. That was the turning point. I was an introvert, very shy person. Here, people made me comfortable. Eminent professors, Professor Gangrade, Professor Ranade, who were, in the United Nations, big figures, right? And they would take, they were very limited. There were only 40 seats, So they would know each other, and it's a residential school. So I was a changed person. So, and there, the study is in social work, which is how relevant it is to law, I'll tell you. You have to study psychology, you have to study sociology, you have to study casework technique and group work technique, that is interacting with people. So these are the basics I'm telling you. And there will be a community development program, which will be a big thing that probably has not helped much in the law, but this casework technique and group work technique till today is what I am today is because of those. There is a concept called client self-determination. So you'll have to understand what the client wants, right? And what sort of a problem. So you have to analyze him to know that. So I did this, then I didn't have to do a job. So I passed out this also. 83, I passed out my MA in this. And that time I had two choices, to go back home and do something, but I was not clear what to do, etc. Then, but I was much interested in this, a community program, particularly like those, the acts of this, violence and things like that was just gripping in that time in Delhi, right? So I thought, let me join that. And also, education of girl children, right, was an issue. So all these things, I studied the law related to that. In fact, social work is full of social legislations also, like labor laws, all you have to industrial laws, everything you study in that MA also. So I thought that I think to do something to give a practical shape, maybe law is a better study. Then I applied and I got into the Campus Law Center, Delhi. I joined, and there again, it was an ocean, and with people from various streams, like all over the country. There'll be people who would like to be bureaucrats. There'll be people who would like to go to politics. And now most of in fact, my batch people are now additional secretary, rearing to be Secretary Government of India, right? Politics, there are top politicians who are from my batch from there. And there are many who wanted to be the part of the judiciary. Of course, there was a small minority who would like to go to business or corporates, or they had all established things, so they wanted to go there. But it was such a wonderful, interaction with all of them. One will everyday change, evolve, what you want to do, you really don't know. And the professors were like Professor P.K. Tripathi, constitutional expert, Parag Tripathi's father. Professor M.P. Singh. I was a favorite student of Dr. Madhav Menon. He was teaching me, right? In fact, the year I passed, he left law faculty. And in fact, because of that association, when I was in the bar, I was in the executive for 3 years, vice president. I organized a training program for those who have put in 10 years with registration, and asked Professor Madhav Menon to give a module for those who have already done 10 years. He did a 2 days workshop. He conducted himself for the lawyers in Supreme Court, right? So that was the kind of relation I had. Once, in fact, he said that let us set up something in Odisha. We went, in fact, things went bad. That's why he went to Bhopal, because government had allocated 25 acres of land earlier, but the government was not decisive. They were not handing over. He said that they are not decisive, so I can't do anything. So he went. Otherwise, in fact, before Bhopal, Odisha would have got its National Law School. So they were there, and then, then what? The teachers were like that, and one of those teachers who, in fact, later on held my hand and showed me the road was later on who became Justice A.K. Sikri. He was teaching me. And when I passed out, I was a little confused whether to join law. 86, I passed out. 87 March, I took a call that I'll practice. I straight away one day went to High Court, waited in the bar room for Mr. Sikri. He was a young lawyer then. He was not a very this thing, but his father was a senior advocate. And I asked the peon, the Sikri Sahab kab aayenge? Then he said, sir, wo 30,000 report gaye hain, wo aayenge abhi. So then I waited. When he came, I met him. He readily recognized, and sir, I want to practice. You are from Odisha, why don't you go back for Ranjit Mahanti, and there are so big people. Sir, that is not the issue, sir, I have come to. I'm determined to practice here. So tell me, will you help me? This was my first question, right? He said that there's no question, I'll definitely help you. Immediately sent his clerk to get an enrollment form. Got it done the same day. Right, I was enrolled as a lawyer with him. The next question comes, whom should I join for a training? So he said that, do you want to join me or join anybody else? I can, sir, you simply suggest me the names. I don't want you to recommend me to somebody, because if he doesn't need and keeps me, he'll not give me work. So I want to go myself and present myself. And he just tell me who are good trainers. He gave me an excellent trainer to begin with. He said that if you want, you are most welcome to join me today, from today onwards. I said, sir, you're too soft. I don't think I can really work with you. And he was my teacher also, so we had become informal. I knew him for 3 years already. So I went, you asked me childhood, but I'm telling you this sequence totally. I hope it doesn't curtail your things, right? Or if you want to change your questions, etc., you can do it. I'll stop here and then I can go to the next section, right?
Indeed,
and
not,
then,
sir. Indeed not, sir. You can continue.
Right. And then Justice Sikri suggested me one Dr. Anand Prakash, right? He said that he's one of the finest trainers and you please go to him. And I say that he was the best trainer. He was he was a professor in London School of Economics earlier. But for his organizational capabilities, Nehruji called him back as head of, president of the Youth Congress. So he came back to India and he started his practice. And he was a big name. You must be seeing labor law, many books written by him. Dr. Anand Prakash, barrister, he was a barrister law. And I joined him, went to him, did not disclose that Mr. Sikri has recommended or anybody. His younger son was a close friend of mine, but I didn't disclose that also. I simply went. He interviewed me, then he kept me at a stipend of 260 rupees. He said, I don't keep anybody free, so you'll have to get some money. And he was so good, like a professor we are used to. He would give you homework, he would see or correct your draftings. And every junior, there were about 36 of us at that time with him. In fact, many of them became judges. Justice Usha Mehra, there are, many people, Raj Birbal, that time, Justice Bina Birbal. They all were from the same chamber. They were my chambermates. And he was a great, the office was like a factory, right? But he would take care of everybody. And he'll give you a task, and then there'll be a time when you're supposed to meet him, etc. And he'll ask questions, etc. In about 5-6 days, when I was familiar, he gave me the first drafting of a small application. I drafted, presented, he corrected. He gave me a set of standard drafts. He said that these are things, whether it is required or not, these 5 preliminary objections have to be there. And then came the time I have to argue for the first time. So he said, you have to argue before me. I'll be your judge. rehearsal. Nobody does that today. In fact, I have not seen any other chamber who would do this. He did that, passed and then argued and all this. Went on and on for about, I was with him for about 6 months. I didn't continue for a long, but since that was the first stint, I wanted to stay there. I was a very hardworking person. I'd go to his office around 9 o'clock, come back early in the morning at 5 o'clock, come back home. So that was my routine. I would start reading, he told me that if you want to be a lawyer on your own, that you have to start reading Supreme Court cases from backwards. That was year 87, so 87 onwards I had to read, right? So I would do the office work up to about say 9 o'clock, then ask for some dinner from somewhere, and from 10 o'clock I'll do my own reading till 5 o'clock every day. That was my routine. So after 6 months, I told him, sir, I think I have enough of your field. I want to leave. So he said, is there any difficulty? Is it for money or anything? I said, no, sir, not at all. I'm here to be an independent lawyer. I don't want to continue ever as a junior. Then I joined a criminal lawyer for a month because I didn't want to really have a big practice, but wanted to be a familiar one. KK Sood, who later became ASG. Now he's a very prominent. His son is now ASG. In fact, his son was in class 9th when I joined him, who is now ASG in Delhi. So I joined him for 1 month for training, knowing the nuances of criminal trial and all this. And after 1 month, I left. I joined somebody else who had a big name in company law for about 1 month. I did that. Like this, all fields I got exposure. After 1 year, I started my own practice. So I didn't. At times, I think that whether that was right or wrong, I don't know. I thought that I could have joined some big names later on. But I console myself saying that big names you can always see in the court and learn from them. So therefore, even if you're not in their office, you're learning from them. So it's available, freely available. It's like Google. So that's my satisfaction. But heart of hearts, that's a feeling that I should have worked with Soli or Fali or one of those, right? So then I worked with Sanghi Sahab, of course. He was second to none, Mukul Rohtagi's father-in-law, right? So that was a loose association till his end. And I would, anytime I had any difficulty, Sanghis, in fact, I would ask them and take help. But Supreme Court is a very different place. Supreme Court people are by and large helpful. If you are a hardworking person, people help. So let me stop in your first question up to this, that how I have come to the profession, right? So that childhood, family, and coming to the profession probably takes care of in this. Yes, now you should.
Thank you so much, sir, for elaborately telling us about your initial days, childhood, and then your experience, first-hand experience in the bar and your college and all. It was quite enlightening and fascinating to know about that. And now, sir, as you have told about Dr. Anand Prakash, Mr. KK Sood, and then GL Sanghi, we would like to know about their peculiar way of argument or any peculiar conversation between you and them or any other members of the bar. We want to unearth anecdotes with the doings of the bar at the time when you joined Supreme Court. So if you can tell something to us.
Look, amongst almost all top lawyers I have seen, the approach is quite similar, and that is called a human approach, right? Almost all. I would say Dr. Anand Prakash, when I joined him, he was only taking up cases for the management and against the labor, right? He is a very tough customer in the court, and he would go to trial, labor court also, presiding officer, industrial tribunal, and everything, and Supreme Court also. He would go everywhere because the clients are important, and he will go for the clients. In the court, of course, he is fully the lawyer for the client. But when the client comes for the conference, he will point out, no, this is something very wrong. You have to first reinstate him, then I will take up your case, right? If it is totally illegal, then he will mince no words. He said that, no, if you want me to be a lawyer, you have to be fair. And whatever it is, it's a small lawyer, small laborer. He cannot afford that kind of a lawyer or anything to match you. I am there, but it doesn't mean that we'll kill him, right? So that was always with him. That was very peculiar, and he was very fond of encouraging juniors to be good human beings. At the same time, to be thorough with the law, and would always contribute for the like evaluation of law, and he would be very courteous to the court always. And sense of grace I got from him. In fact, when I joined, I think he had a peculiar habit of, this team building. So he would have every weekend dinners, right? Maybe for some level of clients, maybe for some public people. But juniors are always hosts. So we are always invited to whatever party it is. I remember one, I was new, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks old in his firm. And I was with a robe, was in my robes. We are going to the courts, but I had a dark tan shoes. So that he did not tell me anything when I was going to the court. We did the matter, everything. It was a Friday, evening was the dinner. In the dinner, after a drink, he told me that, look, at my age, you can go with a chappal, but you are building up, so people are noticing. So you can't afford to have a dark tan shoe with a black coat. Right? So that was so small, but that was such a big guidance, And I don't know whether from YouTube you have seen my lectures or something to the bar. I always say that because your first interaction with the judge, your impression you convey through the way you dress, the way you maintain your hygiene, and that is the first impression. So if then the person doesn't want to interact with you if you are not that. And that is what I picked up from him. And shoe has to be shining. You have to do it yourself. He would always discourage that you should not be dependent on anybody for your shoe shine. He would do it himself for him. So that is the kind of, I remember. Otherwise, training, as I already told you, he was doing that. Mr. K.K. Sood was another person. The professional arrogance and aggressiveness I got from him a bit. I remember once, a habeas corpus petition. He was a criminal lawyer. And in Delhi High Court, for urgent matters, if you have filed today in the evening and you want it to be listed in the morning, you have to mention it before a joint registrar at that time. So I went to the joint registrar for mentioning. And the mentioning would start somewhere around 3:30 to 4 o'clock in each chamber. So I went. So he says, इसमें क्या urgency है? ये तो अभी फाइल किया आप, परसों लग जाएगा. So I was a young lawyer, I didn't know. I said, ठीक है sir. Again, I told. Came and reported to Sood Sahab. Sood Sahab said, come. He went, shouted at him. He said that habeas corpus. You are a joint registrar, so you don't know what it is. You ask judges how important it is. Keeping somebody in jail for a minute is also something so difficult. So urgency is that what to talk of tomorrow morning, you should have listed it this evening only. And he got that listed. From there, I know that what urgency and how, that is my right. So those things, were taught. And, the technicalities of criminal trials, I picked up from both, in fact, a trial, in fact, I also give a lot of credit to Dr. Anand Prakash. In labor matter also, how you reach at the final is through the trials, because not everything is in black and white. Same is in criminal trial. And also you have to, learn the art of guessing that what kind of answer can come and whether it will. So what K.K. Sood told me is ask only those questions where you are 100% sure that the answer will be in a particular way. Don't ask those questions where there is 50-50 chances. If you answers, you are exposing yourself to some loss. Don't ask such questions where definitely the answer is going to be that and which he has not even pleaded. So these small technicalities I learned and I still cherish those. Sanghi was a different genre. He was a class. Sanghi was a class. I'll say two things about him. One was he would not stop his arguments till he gets what he is. So persistence. He would be thoroughly prepared, and whether there is a case or not, Sanghi would be studying till 4 o'clock in the morning. Every day, whether there is a matter, no matter, everything. That's what he's up to date with the law. That's first thing. I've not seen many people who do that every day without fail. And he would be extremely courteous to the court. Once we had filed we briefed him in a matter in which a sales tax appeal from Andhra Pradesh had come. And in our GL, we had some 30,000 pages we had put in to the court. When we went to brief him in the evening, he said, they are also human beings. Can you read this? Just put it for the sake of putting it. Put only that much. These are specially petitions. Put only that much which one can read humanly. Anyway, the moment we went, the matter was called out. He apologized and he said that for the volumes, excuse me, please. It was not realized. And if you want, we'll file a separate set later on. He offered that we'll withdraw this and file separately. But the court was gracious. He said the point is small only, though the pages are there. But he was the first one to apologize before the court could. So this is some niceties you have to think. Because, the judges are one of us. If I cannot read it, how can I expect a judge to read that, right? And I can't give garbage to the judge, So that is what I learned. And to see to it that the bench is comfortable reading all those things. Because our job is to assist the bench. That is what I learned from Sanghi. Sanghi was he would be concerned about relief to the client, but more concerned with the justice to be done, and we are only assisting parties to the process of justice delivery system. So that was more of that. So you have to make the bench comfortable. They are doing 60, 70 matters. If you add like this, then the whole list goes for a toss, So that is what I think I learned from him. Yeah, this is my own mentors whom I did that. And then, I was actually working with Sanghi's younger brother, R.K. Sanghi, who is also a senior advocate now, from whom I said that if you are a lawyer, you must be familiar with all the fields of law. No question of doing one particular field and expert in one and all. You are a lawyer. Your training is to decipher law, analyze law, and understand. So if you have intellect, you process whatever inputs you have got from your client or from the documents, read that. And then, you form it in such a way that in the best interest of the case, it can be presented. So these niceties I learned from all these seniors.
Undoubtedly. While answering this particular question, you have given a lot of takeaways for young law students like me and young legal professionals who are viewing this. And I am sure that they will adhere, and I will adhere to these pointers that you have given.
But whether it is law or medicine or engineering or politics, any field or teaching, if you are clear that you want to do it, it's all basically you have to organize yourself. right? And I'm telling you, nobody can teach you these things. This has to be inherent. Like I told you, as a child, my father would ask me what are the dimensions of this, right? So if you have no interest, you will never look at that door, you know. You will not know the color of the door, frankly speaking. But if you are an interested worker, willing worker, you will see everything. So therefore, you know, to do well in anything, it's not, law profession is not much different from any other profession. This is a set of tools you are exposed to. So that's why you are a lawyer. If I am given a different set of tools, my training was something else, I would have become something else. So the way you approach, your approach to a problem, you know, is same. And also if you see, to your generation I'm saying, whether you are coming to law, you are coming to medicine, you are going to management, you are chartered accountant, or you are a businessman, in the top, when you go to the top, it is all law only. Either regulations, law, because you know at the top, Dhirubhai Ambani doesn't, or Tatas do not know the making of steel, right? They know what excise impact it will have, right? If I produce this, or what international community will think about this environmental hazard. So these are ultimately law, basically. So wherever you go, there is no escape. So therefore, your analysis. So I don't say that it is only you know, privy of the lawyers who have practiced and all. No, it's everybody. So therefore, if you want that, first thing is a good human being. Secondly, you have to keep your eyes and ears open and a willingness to learn things. If you are not willing to learn things, in fact, I'll not name people. There are people who are working with me in the same chambers, and some of them would be thinking that I'm working for him. Why should I work hard? And by 6 o'clock, they will have their excuses. I'll have to cook for myself. I'll have to fend for this, and would leave the chambers. So they won't come up anywhere. But if you think that you have come 2,000 miles away from Odisha to set up something, then you have to work for yourself. So that's my basic takeaway you can take from my is that it is you who decides that whether you are working for yourself or you are working for somebody else. If you think that you are working for your senior, you will be at that only, you will be concerned with increasing your salary only.
That's a great piece of advice given by you. And as I have completed the set of questions that I had with me and you have elaborately dealt with them, I would request Jyoti Prakash to come into the studio, and he has certain questions relating to other aspects of your life and professional career, and he will be asking them. So Jyoti Prakash, please continue.
Hello, Jyoti. Welcome.
Thank you, Devasis. Good evening, sir.
Instead of you welcoming, I'm welcoming you because you joined late, right? Okay,
Indeed,
it's
sir.
informal. Yeah.
So it was really nice to hear you. I was listening to you and Devasis and your conversation. You have given so much of information. I was listening to all the information that you gave about your seniors as well as other doyens of the bar. So, sir, as we have dealt with all those parts, now I request you to give me permission to continue with the second part of this session.
Please. Why permission? We are discussing.
Yeah.
In fact, make it a discussion. Yeah.
Sure.
Why do you call it a question answer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's sharing. I'm sharing some information with you.
Indeed, sir. It is a conversation. Yes, sir. So, sir, kindly give us some information about the greatest members of the bench, who, according to you, are the greatest judges of your time, and for the last 30 years, who are the greatest judges of the Supreme Court as well as of High Courts?
Look, so far as the greatest judges talk is concerned. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yeah. So far as the greatest judges issue is concerned, I don't think I'm competent to comment on that. But who have influenced me and something, I know about them and I can share, and I work closely in their benches and have benefited, enriched myself in my, learning, etc. That I can share actually. Otherwise, greatest judge of the world or the country, they are for the historians to keep a record. In fact, for a lawyer, I don't think is the right person to say who is the greatest judge of this, right? In fact, the first judge that comes to my mind who influenced me a lot was Justice B. Balakrishna Iradi. B.V. Iradi. And of course, he was not the first one I appeared before, but I appeared before him regularly, probably. And what fascinated him probably was my honesty. That's what later life he told me. And I also determined not to tell a lie in the court, ever. His teaching was be brief and give your best point, because he was the one who would read cover to cover. In fact, once a senior lawyer told him that you have not heard me. He said that if you have given a written paper book, what is the question of hearing anything more than that? Are you going to, you are not supposed to argue anything beyond the pleadings. So he said, no, you have not heard me on this. And he said something. He said, this is at page 13, but you have better points at page 17 and 18. You don't want to argue that. I've seen that also, but after considering all those, you have no merits in the case. So he rejected. So he would be there. So you have to be very careful in reading the brief and find out one finer point, which is the best point, and give it to him. And once you do that, I think you are in the same page and matter will reopen for you. Because in Supreme Court, the matters come at the last stage. So you need a key to open the door. And that key is a 30-second key. That's not available. It will go. Either you click or it passes. So it's not available. Once you click the right, then it opens. Then the time is not limited. So that is what, he made me feel that you have to be so thorough that in each brief you have to spend from cover to cover and nothing should be missing. He is not going to ask you any question or anything. He'll start dictating his orders. He gave me a good grounding, and his belief in, trust in me that I'll not mislead. He would never open his file. In fact, if I say something and things like that. And that gave a good standing to me, confidence building. People would engage, would think that yes, this is a phase we can, at a very early age, as in my 20s and all. So, and I am not the one to engage seniors in drop of the hat. In fact, I tell to the junior lawyers that never show the door of a senior to your clients if you want to be a senior. But that's the easiest, because once you take a client to a senior, then you don't want to work hard. You want to transfer everything to the senior only. So I would always, in fact, if corporates, they want to engage seniors, etc., but I would be reluctant. Most of the times I would be reluctant. In fact, I'll give an anecdote during my juniorship also. Once or twice, it so happened, and how I usurped the brief and argued instead of engaging a top senior. Despite my seniors' guidance that you have to take so and so in this case, I told him that he's not available, and then I argued myself. Of course, I got the relief, but I was so eager to argue myself, prepare and things like that, that I would try to avoid engaging a senior most of the times. So that's also, I don't know, I'm incorrect definitely. That's not the system, but I was going against the system. But I thought that was my philosophy, that I would try to argue. If the client is okay with me to argue, fine. If he wants a senior, then it's very difficult for me to coordinate with the senior and things, because I was a busy lawyer. I would be having 20-25 matters a day. So if I go with a senior, and because I have to adjust to his schedule, so my matters will be here and there. So therefore that was also one reason. And otherwise also I thought that if I want to be a senior, I have to work hard, and whatever the order the court wants to pass, let the court pass, so that I learn. So I believed in that. The second judge I would recall is Justice M.B. Shah. He was a human judge. In fact, when I talk of him, I think I'm sitting with Gandhiji, Mahatma Gandhi, side by side. He was a simple man, and with in fact, I've been to his house in Ahmedabad, like an ashram, and very unassuming of a judge, and very simple behavior and all these, but a very strict person. He was very strict in his decisions. He will not change. And but a human judge. He was against capital punishment, and he influenced me a lot. His analysis is the third and the greatest person who made a lot of difference to me. Third and fourth persons. One Justice Gopala Gowda. I'll be ungrateful if I do not mention about him. I had gone to argue a matter, an arbitration matter under 37, appeal, big matter in Karnataka High Court, Bangalore. And we had lost all stages. In the arbitration we had lost, 34 we had lost, 37 I'm in the final argument day, I've been engaged. And this was much before I was designated as a senior, much before I was a young lawyer. I went, first day the matter came before Dattu, but somehow Dattu was sent as Chief Justice with Chhattisgarh, so matter got transferred to Gopal Gowda. Next day, I started. The matter went on. He took first a few things, and then I could open that. In other 37, the scope is very limited. He heard me for continuously 9 days. About from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then after that he called me to his chamber and inquired about me, from where you are and things like that. And anytime he got a chance, he would encourage me. In fact, of course, I was practicing in Delhi, he was in Karnataka. And as the luck would have, he was, in a couple of years, he was made the Chief Justice of Odisha High Court. Right? So again, as and when I come to appear, I appeared, and a lot of guidance and, going out of way to help those who have no access to justice otherwise. That I learned that the first duty of a lawyer or a human being is to see to it that the deprived section is brought up. Then when it came to Supreme Court, I did so many matters for the bar, for the poor people, for the land losers, and great experience. And that he was a compassion personified. So that compassion I see in him. I don't judge him as in terms of, like I said, Justice Iradi or them as like strict disciplinary law. He was not very bothered about that. But he was bothered about substantial justice and justice for the weaker sections. So that I learned from him, that is a role you have to play as a lawyer. As a lawyer, it's not, as I told you, I come from a very well-off background. Even if I don't do any profession, I would have lived a life very well, right? But if you have come here, that you must contribute to others. You should be an example that people get some benefit out of it. Then the last and youngest judge, whom I must say, and according to me an ideal judge, is in fact my contemporary only, right, in the law faculty, Justice Indrajit Mahanti. In fact, in years to come, like you are asking me questions, and I hope and wish that he comes to Supreme Court and sits there. He's thoroughly deserving and one of the finest in the trade to come. And who came with a purpose. He gave up a lucrative practice to serve the judiciary and for this, with a purpose and all. One of my ideal judge of today is Justice Indrajit Mohanty. And so many, you all know much more about him than me, being from there and must be hearing every day. And I know him since the faculty days and thereafter in Delhi. But as a judge, he is a different person. And I'm sure in times to come, people will remember him as one of the greatest judges this country has ever produced. He's very good. That's, I say. Otherwise, my interaction with Justice Deepak Misra during my tenure as Vice President in the Supreme Court, Justice T.S. Thakur, in fact, Justice A.K. Patnaik, has in fact enriched me in big ways. Justice A.K. Patnaik and Justice Misra, Justice G.V. Patnaik, Justice Thakur are my constant guides. In fact, I love to talk to them day to day. I learn every day something from them. Now they are retired from the Supreme Court, but their blessings are with me and their encouragements and the kind of command over language. You just see Justice Pasayat, Justice Deepak Misra, the command over the language, command over the commercial law aspect of Justice A.K. Patnaik, second to none. Command over Constitution, Justice T.S. Thakur, and his cause of judiciary. In fact, these are some of the names, and I feel very proud closely interacting with them on day-to-day basis during my as a member of the executive committee and as a practicing lawyer. So the list is endless. You can't tell me that who is the most favorite. No, I can't. These are the people I say that I could interact. And otherwise, every day, every day there is a favorite. My hero is something. Now there are a young lawyer. In fact, somebody who practiced with me now is a young lawyer who has gone to Odisha High Court, Sanjeev Panigrai, right? Such good judgments he is writing at this age in 1 year of justice. So, this is a constantly following, and who is a sincere judge. So these things, and Odisha High Court is full of all those. And today, one of my most favorite is sitting as the Chief Justice in Odisha High Court is Justice Muralidhar. A very sensitive person, very law-loving person, upright. You can't question him. Work is everything for him. Justice Bhatt. So list is endless, and every day I'm meeting. I can't say that earlier. I don't treat myself to a very old person, that I've gone and things like that. I'm like you. I'm a young guy only, right? So for me today, who is sitting in the bench is also equally, Justice Chandrachud, Justice Nariman today. Can somebody be more erudite than that? Because was earlier. And I'll give you two examples. In fact, my first case was before Justice Sabyasachi Mukherjee. He was Chief Justice in 1989. He passed away when in office. My first case in Supreme Court was before him. My senior sent me to argue a excise appeal, central excise appeal for a plywood company from Assam. What had happened actually, there was neither on facts nor on ground there was anything in our favor. So the office thought that it's a wastage of time, so nobody will go. And also they told the client that we will not be charging anything. Please, there is nothing in the matter. I was the junior most person. I was eyeing at that. I said that, sir, can I try? He said, wahan kahan jayega? Don't go. I said, sir, let me try. I read the whole night, the brief and whatever, best. And next day I started. In 30 seconds, leave granted, appeal admitted. Leave granted is the best thing. Leave granted, stay. Right. I could not believe myself. It was such a big, and I just a few months into practice. Right. And leave granted. And I said that this is a question. Of course, in several judgments, this question has been dealt with, but I think this is inconclusive. Needs to be decided. Raised out a question, put the question only. I didn't even say that why it is wrong or something. needs examination by your lordships, and leave granted, stay, right? And I got an excellent confidence booster for that, and it was something very amazing, right? So you never know what will happen. So that is also kind of judges. When I started, Justice Venkat Chalia was the junior most judge, who later on became Chief Justice. And I could not follow his English. One day, I was appearing for a client from Nagpur. And on facts, it was a good case, but all through we have gooped up, we have not pleaded those things, those grounds, which I drafted here. And the relief could not be granted. So he told me, English, that the sandwich is ready, Mr. Pattjoshi, but you have no mouth to eat. I couldn't understand. So I kept on asking him, my lord, what does that mean? Right in the court. To be Supreme Court judge, because I was innocent, being from Kalahandi, I could ask that, right? So I asked that question. And he said, look, I understand you have been wronged, but you can't do it at this stage. This is concurrent finding and we have not done anything, right? So he explained it to me. What was your next part of your question? Did you ask me that the case which stayed in my heart for a long time, did you ask that? No.
No, sir, I didn't ask you, but it is going to be my next question. So please explain that, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Look, as I told you, why I joined this profession. So therefore, of course, I'll not name you. I've done corporates, I've done everything, criminal, 2G, everything I've done, right? And 2G also, I've got the discharge to the main accused, telecom secretary. I got the discharge, no trial, right? So that is a big achievement, but to me, they are routine. Commercial also I've done maybe thousands of crores cases we have done. But one which is with me till today, and two cases, of course, and maybe for the rest of my life, and I'll feel proud. I run an NGO. I am founder of an NGO called Association for Development. And in fact, I did social work and then did law, and law as an enabling subject to do social work. That was my purpose of doing law. A strange case came to our notice, to my people, those who are looking after the NGO. I am the president of that. A set of adoptive parents had adopted a girl child. Both of them died. The girl child was about 9 years old, going to school. And there were some maid servants and servants working for them. Huge property, 4-story building in Delhi and all. Crores. My NGO has a collaborative project with Delhi police also. In fact, they have given me, now also I run it. So they have given me the premises to operate. One, maid servant went to the DCP concerned to complain against a property dealer, that the property dealer is creating some problem to her. That gentleman asked me, would your NGO be able to check what is the issue, because a maid servant and having a 4-story building for sale, etc. Then we put our caseworkers. They went several times and could establish contact with that girl. What this lady had done, she has pulled her out from the school and started using her as the maid, and this maid servant has become the de facto owner of the property. So we had to rescue the girl. That was our next plan. And then because I do social work, so I've got good connectivity with the Juvenile Justice Board and Children's Court and all this, So I spoke to the Juvenile Justice Board chairperson, and I said that I want to file a petition for rescuing this girl and the property. And I filed. They passed the order in my favor. But one part of the order was illegal order, because rescuing the girl child is okay. That is within their jurisdiction. For property, they have no jurisdiction, but they passed an order on my pleading. But since I was with Delhi police, we could take possession of the property also and threw them out. This lady challenged this in the Delhi High Court. And Delhi High Court, to the good luck of the girl, matter came before a very conscientious judge, Justice Sarin. I said, I only simply did this to bring it to the notice of the court only. I do not know much law on this also. I do not know anything. This is a helpless girl, and I think Delhi government should do something. He said, all right, you keep quiet, we'll do it. That court monitored the girl throughout, appointed the registrar of the High Court to take care of the property, appointed, who later became Justice Gita Mittal. Gita Mittal was a lawyer, as the guardian of the girl child, and then invited, various principals of high and public schools to take care of the girl. And one school in Bhimtal, in a hill station, agreed to keep her. So she was rescued and she was taken there. Studies were free, and the court, Delhi High Court, took care of her. Now the girl is, of course, major and all. And she became, when she passed out all this, she graduated and all. She was the private secretary to social welfare minister, right, later on. And she is now a big person. So that is a very, very satisfying case for me throughout my life, that one life could be. And in that judgment, if you read that judgment, one page is devoted to me, that but for this man, this girl would not have seen the light of the day, etc. So that is combined. That is not only as a lawyer, but that was as a role of a social worker, I did that. The second case I did also related to this only. In Delhi, we have 13 children home, right? And I'm a regular visitor to children homes. And there I saw that most of these children who are there, they are either on barefoot, without a banyan, without much clothing. So I asked them that you don't get anything for them. Even in jail, you get dresses for the Qaidis. They said, no, we get everything. So then I said that from where do you procure? And they were very reluctant. And then we decided in the NGO that let's create that an empowerment through the use of RTI only. So we thought of taking the help of RTI. In fact, we are the pioneers, in RTI formulation. I was part of it, and Act formulation. And also we train. Now Nigeria has a similar legislation. So people come to our NGO for training of use of RTI as a tool of empowerment. So there we first shoot off RTI inquiries to them. They said that we have invited bids from NAFED, KVIC, 4 government agencies. Then we shoot letters to those agencies that, are these your bids? They said, no, what to talk of the bids? They are not even our letterheads, right? And then there we saw that one chapel would be like, there would be 4 bids, all fake. One would be 700, 600, 500, 400. So 400 is accepted, right? All on pen and paper. There is billing done, everybody. The budget in Delhi for children only is about 18 crores. So 18 crores swindled totally. So I filed a PIL for an inquiry into this. Justice M.K. Sarma was the Chief Justice, Delhi High Court. He appointed Ajit Varyok, who was the registrar that time, later on who became a judge, to inquire into this. He inquired and we found 6 bureaucrats held rolled, and now there is a policy in place. So these things we could achieve by the use of this. There are many others, but so I remember those cases rather than this commercial and things like that. There are many, commercial cases will come, and wit and humor will be much more in commercial cases and things like that. So, but that is for your livelihood and for your family. That doesn't add to any improvement in the system. Yeah, tell me.
Quite interesting, sir. It is really interesting to know about all these cases and the legendary judges that you named, Justice Balakrishna Aradi and Justice Saha, Justice Gopal Goda. One thing that we will definitely remember about Justice B. Gopal Goda, his human approach to all the cases. He always tries to dispense justice, even at the cost of procedures. And you have very lucidly pointed that part of his personality, and we'll definitely remember that, sir. And after that, sir, as we are coming to the end of this particular session, we'll discuss something about your personal life. So we are also conversant with the fact that you are very much interested in cricket. You have penchant for cricket, and you also play for your bar. So please tell us what are all other activities you keep yourself involved in, and what are all your hobbies and pastime activities.
Yeah, in fact, if I don't know what way you take hobby is actually, because living life is my hobby, right? And living life encompasses everything. And when I'm in the court, when I'm in my study, when I'm in my playground, when I'm with my family, I really don't see that I'm living anything lesser. I live. It's a very demanding profession, no doubt. But if you enjoy, then that becomes your hobby, And if you really do that, because I joined to do some changes, right, and to make a difference. So that's why I enjoy that also. So it's not that pastime. And as you said, sports and this, I played in my life all sports. And I'm not a great cricketer or something, but I played for the college and university and things like that. And now because in Supreme Court, it's fun. It's fun. But serious sports, I played badminton up to a level. I played up to a professional level, and without any coaching or anything. But I played everything in my life. I played soccer. I played. But my most favorite game till today was Gilli Danda, my childhood games, and marbles, Pitu. So they were much more interesting for me. In fact, and I was so involved in those. Pitu would be so, I would be involved. I would not be as involved in cricket, let me tell you. So I'm from a very rural background, so my tastes are like that. Then, I'm fond of going on treks, mountaineering. I've explored, in fact, I'm a walker. I'm fond of driving. I've driven all over. In fact, in 2018, I drove all the Scandinavian countries. 2016, I drove from coast to coast in US, East Coast to West Coast, in 40 days. So I'm fond of, here I've, during student days in bike, I never used to go by train. I used to go by bike to my hometown. And like that. So I take life like that. And family, I have a very small family. My wife is a doctor and she takes care of everything. And she's into wellness. She worked with WHO for a while. Now she gives wellness guidance to people in Asian Development Bank. And I have one daughter who just graduated. A week back, her results came, who is a law graduate. And she did her, after doing graduation, of course, she did 3 years. She did her graduation from St. Stephen's College here, and then was Durham University in UK. She did her law from. Just passed out this year. She's a good scholar. She has got Lord Denning Scholarship for Barrett Law. She'll be joining in September in Lincoln's Inn. And that's my family. And they're fun-loving people. We all chill every night after the work. And we are mostly at the bar. So during daytime, I'm at the bar. With family, I'm at the bar in the evening. So we live life, we try to enjoy life. And whatever useful we could be to the society, we try to be. Take responsibility for our stuff. So that's basically, and hobby is, I've got love for plants as usual. Of course, in Delhi, of late, I've not been able to keep a dog. I would love to. I was there, but now, we travel a lot and things like that. I don't want to leave the dogs with only help. I want to take care of them myself. So That's one thing. So I keep in touch with the family ancestral homes. So there we have other things. And love to, in fact, one of the motto is to encourage all of you from Odisha, particularly from children from Kalahandi, to explore and try to get into anything they like. The world is small. It's not a very big place to live. And you should all be confident. And at every stage, for everybody, God has made some arrangements somewhere. So you'll get it. I never knew. I came all alone to Delhi in a bag, and the first night I slept in this railway station only, right? But I enjoyed every bit of my journey. And people call that there are initial struggle, etc. I had no struggle because I enjoyed. And I have no want. I want everybody, humanity to, in fact, evolve and grow. But particularly Kalahandi, I've seen, people with misery and all. My heart is always there. And I'm very happy today. In fact, there are about 20 lawyers from my place who are practicing in Delhi and doing very well. So I think, and if I'm in any way symbolic or responsible for their coming, then I'll be very grateful. Of course, I have not contributed to them at all. No way. But simply because somebody who could not speak a word could go and practice in New Delhi itself is a very encouraging thing. I was very shy. Till my graduation, I would whisper in my mother's ear if I wanted something. So that's that kind of a thing. And I was so pampered, I didn't know how to manage my life myself. Not that I know it much better now. I'm still probably the same only, right? But I would be happy that you all grow in life and enjoy life as it comes. And one thing my advice to all of you, that you don't really need a lot of money or something to be happy. You don't. If you have a purpose in life, you'll be happy. You are, and not necessary that you achieve the purpose. You must put in your efforts for that. And that is what I keep doing today also. And since there is pandemic, I can't go driving or anything. So I go my cycling, I go running. So those things I keep doing and enjoy meeting people.
Very great to know about that part of your life, sir. You are really an inspiration for all the persons, especially the law students from Odisha. We take a lot of inspiration from you. You might not have helped anyone directly, but indeed you have helped them by inspiring them. So that is a great attribute of yours, sir. And sir, after that, I have only one question for you. What would be your advice to all the first generation lawyers who don't have any kind of backing, who don't have any godfather in this profession, and who want to join the legal profession, and who don't want to join any kind of other service, and want to start from the very basics of the legal profession? What would be your advice to them, sir?
Love yourself. Love yourself. That's all. You have to love yourself. You think that you are the most important person in your life. Right? You have to think, believe in yourself. You think. And I told you that it doesn't make any difference whether you come as a lawyer, come as a bureaucrat, come anything. You have to love it. And it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time things will improve. And like places like Delhi and Bombay and all, they are awesome. There is no dearth of work. So once you are a willing worker, you have to be a willing worker. And you have a very positive frame of mind that, yes, I'll do it. You don't have to set milestones for yourself. Don't torture yourselves, right? You have to enjoy reading. Say, for example, if you do not enjoy reading, will you finish a book? You will not. If you do not enjoy the food, will you eat? So it's like that. So you have to love yourself. Only thing I say that if you learn to believe that you are the most important person in your life and you love you, then you will do everything. Because what do you do for your lover? You would like to go give a rose to her. You'd like to buy gifts like that. So if you love yourself, you'll do that for yourself. So I'm going to do. And there is a person, though my father was technically a lawyer, but I lost him when I was 13. So there is no legal background when I came, and I never knew that I'll be a lawyer. I came, but people come. It's like a, they say, it's a karma, it's a journey, and जुड़ता जाता है. So people come, and it's chain to chain. You form a chain, nobody is alone. Nobody is without a background. Once you join a law school, you are with a background. You get your skills, right? So you have to believe that you are a professional today. You are a trained professional today. So that belief you have to. And another thing, in fact, you must be aware. You should be prepared for turns, twists, and different changes. You should be in for cultural shocks. You must be in for future shocks. You must be in for adversities, right? But you have to love them also, because they will not be always there. They'll also give you one opportunity only to face the adversity. Say, for example, your door is locked and you're stranded in a rain. So that will be once only. It will not be every day. So you enjoy that rain that day in the adversity. If you think that, no, I have to get dressed because my father didn't open the door for so long, then you miss the opportunity to get drenched. If you have to remain, of course, that stage is over for anybody in India. If you have to, say, for example, be a little underfed for a few days, which is totally not true today, right? Enjoy that. There is nothing, in fact, I don't see there is any condition called adverse condition. You have to, look, this is a state of mind, whether you want to be happy about yourself or you want to grieve about yourself. If you think, I don't have somebody in the profession or something, what will that person do to you? Say, for example, today my daughter will pass. She is a law graduate. Will I be able to give her anything except for maybe the infrastructure? If she wants to practice in Delhi, that too. But she wants to practice in London. Will I be able to give anything? She'll have to start from scratch. Though even if she belongs to a family of a lawyer, will she get anything? Second, my interest and her interest are entirely different. Because the second generation lawyer has their own challenges. People will compare, people will think, for no fault of yours, because somebody, your dad is 35 years older to you, but people will start that, no, he does it after 35 years. For no reason, people will draw unnecessarily unfair comparisons. So that is second. You are lucky if you are a willing lawyer, willing second generation lawyer. You can choose what to practice. I did not have a choice. What field do I do? What sort of things should I do? And I had no, hesitation going in a bus. I would go to a court in a bus. I had a bicycle. I would go to any place I would like. But being a second generation lawyer, you are not used to that anymore. So you have certain restrictions, in a way, certain restrictions. It is like Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan, right? Abhishek Bachchan is not a bad actor. But because people compare with his father, say, "Usne kuch nahi kiya." But don't you think that he has done enough? He has also done something, but he is subjected to an unfair comparison. Tendulkar's son, very unfair for him, So that way, none of you should think that you have no background. So long as you belong, you are part of the same society where there are good lawyers, good people, you have a background. It is our own tradition, Look, which lawyer, you name the top ones, who had a background? Gandhiji did not have a background. He was a lawyer, first generation, and he did all this. Of course, Nehru had, but Nehru didn't make a big lawyer. So that's it. You don't have to, and you don't have to go by anything. I don't believe in, and this is a profession. Profession means your professional value, your professional skills. It has nothing. You're not inheriting a business or something. earlier the zamindars, they would in fact inherit jameen, land or something. So they'll be saying that if that question would be, I don't have a land, can I be an agriculturist? That is a very difficult question. But if you have a law degree, you're a professional. If you're an engineer, you're a professional. You're a technocrat. So why should you think about that you don't have a background? You have a background. Only love yourself. That's only my thing, that at no stage you should crib about yourself. Your situation is the best situation. And nobody can advise you that how to start a practice. Nobody can tell you how to be a good lawyer. And even if they tell you, you can't practice that. It is you. Everybody is unique. Everybody is unique, So you have your Aadhaar card, somebody else has his Aadhaar card. So don't worry. Yeah,
Indeed,
thank
sir.
you.
Indeed, sir. It is quite subjective. And you have very rightly said that it is not the fact that the second generation lawyers don't have any kind of struggles. They have their set of struggles. That is
No, I
really
don't say
a-
it's struggle. I don't say it's struggle. It's their own problems. It's not a struggle. Nobody is in a struggle. You all are, in your own journey. We all are in our own orbit, right? So you don't have to say that, no, look, Earth takes so many days to do a year. Sun takes much more days to do a year. But we should not say that, no, doing a year from the world is better because it takes less time. No, it's not like that. We all are in our own orbit. So you'll have to live in that orbit only, Please don't bother about that. And who knows about future? Enjoy the day. Do the best. If you think that this is your last day of life and live and do everything, then you will be a better man tomorrow. You'll be a better man the next day. You'll be a better professional the next day. Think about the person who has not got the education. Think about him. Why are you thinking about somebody whose parents have helped him to be a lawyer? Right? He has a background. Think about somebody who will need you and who doesn't have enough money to study law. You're much better off. So you're in your orbit. That person is in his orbit.
Right, sir. And we are mesmerized by the optimistic way of your life. It is really very enchanting to see a person like you who takes in everything in a positive manner. And that is really inspiring, sir. And thank you so much, sir, for joining us this evening for this interview session. We are grateful that you spared some time for us and helped us to know about the legal fraternity, about the judges, and all your anecdotes that you have shared, as well as all the sets of advices. Those are really valuable, and we'll definitely treasure that forever, sir. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here in your show. And God bless you, all of you, your colleagues, your fellow students. They all should benefit, not from this talk, but otherwise, you must spread a ray of hope with everybody and spread a, fraternity. The feeling should be good, mutual. You should should be able to smile heartily. And these are your last days in college. Are you still in college? So don't get into this rat race immediately, right? Take some break. Last week, my daughter's results came. She wanted to join some Supreme Court judges as law clerk immediately. I said, please don't do that now. Take a break for 6 months at least, because after that there is no respite. So don't rush. Don't rush. Enjoy your life.
Surely, sir.
Indeed, sir.
Thank you for that advice, sir. Thank you, sir. We are really grateful, and we wish you health and prosperity, sir. Please take care of yourself.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.